Welcome to our how-to video for the Clicgear wheel pivot replacement. The following tools are required: a 10mm socket with a ratchet drive, a 3/4 inch socket with ratchet drive, standard pliers, a marking pen or Sharpie, a large Phillips screwdriver, and a regular slotted screwdriver. Note: when choosing a screwdriver for your project, it is important to use the largest one that will fit the screw head. Open your Clicgear cart fully. Remove the 3/4 inch nut from the front wheel axle. Grasping the wheel rim or tire on the edges, pull straight out to remove the front tire. With a Sharpie pen, mark the cable position at the point where the cable comes out of the cable nut adjuster. Remove the cap from the cable end, using pliers to pull it off. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the nut of the cable nut assembly. You do not need to remove the nut completely, just loosen significantly. Using pliers again, squeeze the cable nut assembly. Put one jaw of the pliers on the nut and the other on the opposite side of the cable nut assembly. This will free the cable. Remove the cable nut assembly from the brake hammer and set it aside to use later. Using a large Phillips head screwdriver, remove the two pivot stop bolts from the wheel pivot mechanism. It is important to use a screwdriver that is as large as the bolt head will accept. If you have trouble removing the screw, try this. Insert the screwdriver bit into the screw head. Using a hammer, drive the screwdriver into the screw head with a couple of short, powerful blows. The screw should turn out easily. Pull the wheel pivot assembly from the front of the 45mm tube. Replace with the new wheel pivot assembly. Insert the pivot stop bolts and tighten. Reinsert the cable adjuster and cable sheath into the wheel pivot assembly. Examine the cable nut assembly to make sure there is a clear path for the brake cable to pass through. Rest the cable nut assembly in the opening in the brake hammer with the 10mm nut facing out from the wheel pivot assembly. Thread the brake cable through the hole on the cable nut assembly bolt, making sure the cable is resting in the slot of the brake hammer. Depress the brake hammer until the cable nut assembly tip lines up with the mark on the brake cable from step 4 of this procedure. Once it is in position, tighten the cable nut assembly nut using a 10mm socket. Replace the front wheel and secure the 3/4 inch locking nut. Test the brake. If all is well, put the new end cap in place on the cable tip and secure by squeezing with the pliers, hard. If you have any questions or need further support, please contact Clicgear USA at 888-742-2542.